Hey you guys, thanks for tuning. For those of you that are new, the topic I decided to go with is my paranormal experience. Now, before I go, the reason I chose this topic was due to the fact that this experience was something that always left me in question as years went on. And, anyways, the story takes place around 2012, a year that wasn't exactly the best for me. I was going through some family problems, and my family and I were in a lot of stress with finances and such, so it was like a dump after another. Well, it was nighttime from what I remember, and growing up with a parent that wanted you to dress or act a certain way, it was one of those situations where, your parent would scold you about how changing your lifestyle would be beneficial, and well, instead of approaching the situation with relaxed communication and such, I during that time, grew upset and began to have a teenage temper tantrum. So I went on and was tearing all the posters in my wall. I was grabbing all my punk clothing and, placing them in trash bags and, just taking out my accessories. Basically, anything that made me who I was during that time. Anyways, I basically cleared up my entire room that if you were to walk in, it looked as if you stepped in one of those quick motels. Just bed sheets, pillows, a light, and an AC unit, and everything just lifeless. That's pretty much what my room was. And I remember piling all my stuff outside my bedroom, and my one of my parents, was knocking outside the door, and they wanted to, come inside and talk it out and such. I was in such a bad mood that instead I ignored their knockings, and inside my room I only had my iPad, not my iPad, my bad, my iPod, man, it's been so long. Anyway, I had my iPod and these big headphones, and all I did was during that time was that I jumped into my bed with just the bed sheets. I placed it on top. I grabbed my headphones and just hit the shuffle button on the iPod and just drowned away my sorrows with sleep. I know it probably would have been better if I talked it out, but I was mad, so I just ignored them and slept away. Anyway, a couple hours went by, and I realized that my iPod died, and everything around me was quiet. Uh, I want to say that it was around after midnight hours, and I remember during that time, my neck was sweating from having the sheets on top of me. And so what I did was I basically pulled the sheets away and, just fell asleep again. Sometimes when you're asleep, you do things and you're aware of it, but you don't open your eyes. It was kind of like that. So I took the sheets away, and my headphones were still in my ears. And I remember that when my iPod died and the music stopped, I lazily, I don't know if that's a word. Well, I reach as lazy as human possible to the nearest charger socket that was around my bed. And I grabbed the charger and plugged in my iPod to charge. And it was at that point that I just went back to sleep again. I fell asleep with the headphones still in my ears, only by being surrounded by the sound of my breathing and the nearest AC unit just humming the air. So it was just like, absolute quiet. Everyone in the house was asleep, and just my breathing and the AC unit was on. And if anything, I probably, would have just woken up without music and it would have been okay. But everything changed though. It wasn't until I heard a small noise that echoed across the room. And I remember when I heard it, it woke me up a bit. And I was thinking during that time that perhaps it was the neighbors next door. I couldn't really make up the noise, so I shrugged it off and just sleep again. That wasn't, however, after I want to say maybe 30 minutes into my sleep that I heard the noise again. Only this time, the noise was as if someone was clapping. I heard clapping, and it was so bizarre because when I heard that clap, it sounded like it was somewhere inside the room, like it was nearby, but it was close. So at that time, I opened my eyes and I looked around my room, half asleep. I saw nothing but, the empty walls and the AC running, and my nightlight was on. So I, shrugged it off and I thought maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. So I went back to sleep again. 15 minutes went by and I heard the clapping again. I heard the clapping again. Sorry about my country accents. I heard the clapping again. Only this time, it was very quick and very light. Like as if, you clap with your fingertips and not with your hands. And I was still sleeping and my eyes open. Same thing, nothing, same empty room. Only this time, I was a bit more aware of my surroundings, and I decided to turn to my iPod. I realized how when I turned on my iPod that it was only charged a little bit, and so I didn't really wait it for it to be fully charged, so I just unplugged it and I turned it on and just hit shuffle. It wasn't until those 5 minutes into the music, those 5 minutes where I turned to face the other way and placed the blanket on top of my head, that's when I only heard music, but in between those 5 minutes, it was as if the clapping went inside my headphones, and instead of it clapping near me, it clapped directly into my earlobe. And when that occurred, the clapping was so close that it not only was clapping near in my ear, it also clapped very quickly and it repeated itself 2 times. So think of like someone clapping at like a 2 times speed, only that it's repetitive. Yeah, that's literally what I heard. And so when that happened, I remember I opened my eyes, grabbed my headphones, took them immediately away from my ears, and I was so freaked out. Once my foot touched the floor, that was when the room around me just started to grow heavy. It grew so heavy that this weird weight was in between my shoulders. Like, I'm no energy reader, you guys. I don't know if you guys have ever walked in a room or have been into a situation where you just go in and it just feels like really heavy or just bad. Well, that's basically what happened. And so during that moment, I remember I felt this heavy energy. My pulse was raising like crazy, and all I did was I ran across my door and was having a difficulty unlocking it. And so once I finally was able to unlock the door, I ran to the nearest door, which was my parents' bedroom, and knocked the living hell out of the knocked the living hell out of the room. And one of them came, and I just collapsed into their arms, crying while saying, "I hear clapping." That was my story. If you found this interesting, let me know in the comments. And if you had something similar or different happen to you, also let me know in the comments. Either way, thanks for watching, and you guys have a nice day. Stay safe out there.